This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Prime Big Deal Days is here. Woohoo! Which can lead to involuntary deal squeals. Like the classic deal on a new blender squeal. Yeah! Save big this Prime Big Deal Days. On now.
No need to save from Lorde, and Campbell finds himself in, and it is 3-1 to the Chelmsford Chieftains.
Hello and welcome to Zero Pucks Given, the UK Ice Hockey Podcast. We're in partnership with the Hockey Art Co, hockey clothing for hockey people, worn by the best and hated by the rest. Listeners to the Zero Pucks Given network get a 10% discount off everything site-wide at hockeyartclothing.co.uk. Just use the code ZP10 upon checkout. We are also in partnership with Manscaped, male grooming products redefining the gentleman around the world. Top of the range products like the Weed Whacker, the Lawn Mower and the Dome Shaver Pro, everything a man needs to keep himself trim. You can get 20% off everything from manscaped.com when you use the code 0pucks20. We are also on the Sports Social Podcast Network, the largest sports podcast network in Europe, and we're absolutely delighted that the ZPG network is a part of it. And for the next few weeks, we are also in partnership with 2 Minutes for Trading, creating trading cards for amateur sports clubs, budget-friendly ideas to allow you to interact more with your fans. Last year, Dylan at 2 Minutes for Trading created some great trading cards for Solent Devils. This year, he's created some so far for the Chelmsford Chieftains, including this man that we're going to speak to tonight. How you doing, Dylan Dix?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for joining me. Have you found it in the UK? I know you've had a little bit of a break heading out to Italy, but how's it been in the UK?
Yeah, it's been great. Definitely a little bit of an adjustment, but I'm kind of finally settling in after getting back from Italy, and no more kind of, schedule mix-ups. I kind of finally settle in and really get used to it. But I've been enjoying it so far. Yeah,
you haven't had a double-header weekend yet. You've been kind of with the single games that Chelmsford have had so far. So you're yet to experience that. But you have experienced some of the fine rinks that this country has to offer.
Yeah.
In particular, down in Solent a couple of weeks ago. What was your reaction to that rink?
I mean, the guys, to be fair, the guys did try to warn me. They tried to give me a heads up that it was going to be kind of something I've never seen before. I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I was like, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. And then I got down there and walked into the rink and was a little speechless, to be honest, at first. I play at like a little 3-on-3 rink, training rink back home, and it's about the size of that. So it was kind of crazy to play a full 5-on-5 game there. But, yeah, I mean, there's really not many words to describe it.
No, and you've, I think you've only had the one, maybe 2 games at the Riverside then so far.
Yeah. This last Saturday was my second game at the Riverside. So.
Yeah, how are you finding that as a home? The atmosphere nice and like the arena as a whole?
Yeah, no, I love our rink, and our fans are a huge part of that. I mean, fans and then just game presentation, everything, all that. They pull out all the stops, shutting the lights off, light show coming on, and all that. It's a really, really fun place to play, and really passionate fans. And both nights we played there, it's been packed to the brim and loud, and it's been a really fun atmosphere to play in front of.
Yeah, and you got your first home goal this weekend just gone in the 11-1 win over Swindon.
I got one in against MK too. So it's my second home goal.
You did, yeah. Yeah, but this one was quite a special one, sort of from the defensive blue line, deked around 3, and then a lovely little finish.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I kind of just started skating and realized I had a little bit more space than I thought, and just got on my horse a bit and was able to kind of pull it backhand and tuck it in and finish it off.
Yeah, we're seeing from the Chieftains this year actually quite a lot of flexibility, particularly in D. with good numbers that we've got. So there's a lot of rolling of the lines, and you all seem to be incredibly comfortable playing with each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love our decor. And we got guys like Eden and Phaser that are kind of bumping back and forth, up and down, forward D, kind of whatever we need with the situation, guys in the box, guys hurt, things like that. Which is always really beneficial. Playing light on the DN sucks. So having those numbers is really nice. I played a bit with everyone, mostly with Wellesley and Benny Russell there. But I love playing with both those guys and every episode had even in practice with everyone, from top to bottom. Our decor is really solid this year, which is really exciting.
Yeah, your goal Saturday could have been at seeing what Phaser did in the first period. Could have been, I think I can do that too.
Yeah, maybe. Phaser's was a little nicer than mine. A little toe drag and short side, but I mean that was a beautiful goal. Probably goal of the year candidate. We can get a video of it somewhere.
Yeah, there's a video available on the Chieftains website. All the goals that we score at home are available on there for people to watch. So we'll. I want to talk to you about Italy because it's quite an amazing thing that you were signed here as an import, but you're a dual national because you were able to play for Great Britain in the inline.
Yeah, I am dual national. So my dad was born over here near Wolverhampton and lived here till he was about 18 or 19, then moved to the U.S. and has been over there since. But yeah, I was able to get my passport to figure out when I was about 15 or 16, kind of as just a backup plan. You never know. I wasn't really sure, where hockey was going to go and where living was going to go and things like that. I just kind of thought it was a little bit of a no-brainer to get and just have in my back pocket in case I need it. So looking back now, I'm obviously really glad that I did for both this Chieftains opportunity and then the opportunity in England with Team Great Britain as well.
Yeah, so that was that World Championships that you played with GB in the inline? Yeah.
So it used to be the inline championships used to be run by a double IHF, like the World Championships and World Juniors and stuff like that. And then I think about 4 or 5 years ago, it switched over to this organization called the World Skate Games. So they do everything on wheels. So I would say inline hockey was the most regular sport. A lot of it's like speed skating on wheels and roller derby and rink hockey and things like that. Skateboarding. So basically anything on wheels, they kind of handle now.
Yeah. And it was quite successful, actually. I was following the results as I could sort of on the social media, but you guys actually had quite a successful time out there.
Yeah, no, we had a good showing. Not quite as good as we wanted to. We wanted to kind of get into that top 8, for next year. So they do the World Skate Games every other year. And then next year is the World Games. It includes a lot more sports and things outside of wheels as well. And that's in China, I believe. So the top 8 from this tournament, we're going to that next year. So going into it, that was our goal, was to try to crack that top 8. And we kind of took care of business in our first round robins. I mean, we got a pretty fortunate draw playing China and Japan. 2 kind of programs that are a little weaker, a little on the way up, which was nice and also not so nice because our third game was Italy for the round of 16, who's top 5 in the world coming into it. So we kind of had to go from 0 to 100 really quick and started a little slow and just really couldn't claw it back into it, but just couldn't quite get all the way back in. So we lost to them in round of 16, and then that kind of dropped us into like the lower brackets. We played a really strong Switzerland team too, had some wins under their belts. We fell just short with them, playing for, I think it would have been 9-10. And then we ended up winning versus Australia and then losing to Spain, who somehow was playing for 12-13. They were third in the world last year. They won European World Championships or European Championships last year. And just with their draw, they somehow ended up playing us for, I think, 13-14. So, overall, it was a really good experience with some good wins, some competitive teams. We had a bit of a new team this year. I think there was 4, me and 3 others was their first time playing. Then we had another 3 or 4 who was only their second time. So, kind of transitioning to a bit of a younger group. So it's kind of a good step forward for the team.
Yeah. Did inline come before ice for you?
Yeah. So I grew up in California. So I played inline right away. I have an older brother. We had a rink in our little small town. So, I was playing from age, 2 or 3 as soon as I was old enough to. He was out there, so I wanted to be out there. So, started with inline hockey, and then I didn't make the switch to ice until, I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. And then didn't play travel ice hockey until I was 12 or 13. So, I definitely got into the ice hockey a bit later.
Yeah. Was there a hockey rink close to you? Was it Scotts Valley in California? Is that where you're born?
Yeah, so I'm born in Santa Cruz, but yeah, Scotts Valley is where I live. It's next town over. So we had the roller hockey rink there when I was growing up, but unfortunately isn't there anymore. It got turned into like a library, I think, which is a whole other story. But so that's kind of was the easy one. The closest ice rink to me was in San Jose, so I was about 35, 40 minutes. So once I started playing ice hockey, it was a bit of a commute.
Yeah, and that's not too bad. I mean, generally people in America, you look at a 3-hour drive and think that's nothing.
Yeah, it is nothing.
Right. Yeah, whereas that's like across the country here.
Yeah. I drove to Sheffield. I drove to Sheffield a week before I went to Italy just to see some of the guys. And the guys were like, "You're driving to Sheffield for a day?" And I was like, "Oh, that's only like 2.5, 3 hours." Like, that's crazy. I was like, "It's nothing to me." But yeah, so that was kind of the home base, San Jose, Fremont. So it was about depending where rink I was playing, about 35 to 40 minutes for practice, each like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah. So as you moved sort of into high school, then are you playing a mixture of the two?
I played a little bit. I played where I could in high school. High school hockey in California isn't super huge. So I was basically just playing the travel ice. I'd actually stopped playing inline, right around 14 or 15. Ice kind of started to take off. So I kind of put it on the back burner a little bit and focused on ice hockey and honestly didn't start playing roller again until about 3 years ago. So luckily it came back pretty easy. Played a couple years of men's. Me and my brother started a men's team for the summer tournaments and stuff, just to kind of play together again and have some fun. And then I got picked up by a pro team, year and a half ago. So started playing with them in the summer seasons and then, was lucky enough to join Great Britain this year.
Yeah. So you're, so doing all that sort of through your school, did you keep on top of your school as well?
Oh yeah.
It works a bit differently out there, doesn't it? If you're not doing well in school, they'll stop you playing, won't they?
Yeah, for sure. And my mom as well. My mom was always very, school first, hockey second. I went to a private school actually my first year of high school, in California before finally my mom let me. I moved to Arizona, with my grandparents for my last years of school, or my last junior year of school, to play on a little bit of a higher end team there. And then moved to South Texas my first year of junior hockey, my senior year of high school. So my last 2 years were online, so those were a bit easier, but the first 2 years were definitely a bit of a grind.
So, I mean, you were definitely then taking on like quite a lot of independence at quite a young age to sort of move around.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go the year earlier. My mom wasn't quite ready for me to leave yet, which is fair. I was like 14. So I went, my first year playing in Arizona, I actually commuted. So I would practice during the week in California and then fly to Arizona. I think it was kind of randomly, but most weekends fly to Arizona and practice with the team on the weekend. And then if we had tournaments, I'd just meet them wherever they were. We had a couple guys that kind of in that hybrid, a couple guys from California, a couple guys from Las Vegas, and kind of did a little hybrid. And then we all kind of moved down there the next year.
Yeah, it always amazes me that it's all so different how it works out there to how it works over here. And I actually think they've got it right out there, the way that sport works, particularly with youngsters, and to sort of nurture that, not only the sporting talent, but the sort of educational talent at the same time, and bring it up together. Because you've always got to have that, if I can't go pro at this, I need to be able to get a career somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, I mean, there's two routes. I mean, there's the major junior that's obviously a little less focused on schooling, because it doesn't really matter. You can't go to college, but if you're going the college route, they preach from a really young age. Like, you need those academics to back up. They're not just going to take you because you're a good hockey player. You got to be able to get into school and show that you can kind of handle both. So it's definitely a unique thing. And hockey is also just unique to any other sport over there as well, with all juniors and all that. Like, no other sport has that. So even in the U.S., that's not familiar for people. So I got to explain all that every time it comes up. Like, all right, you're 26, you're just graduating college. Like, what are you doing? I was like, I played, I came as a 21-year-old freshman, did 4 years of my undergrad, and then COVID gave me an extra year, did one more year, and out of there. But it's definitely a bit different. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it was really fun. Lots of opportunities, lots of places to play. So they definitely got something figured out there.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, and kind of the way the pro stuff works over there as well. We've often said on this podcast that it's not like that over here, where you've got the elite league pro level, and they're not like farming teams down the divisions to try and get the players to move up and down the ladder. And they really, really should. Like, where you've got the NHL and then the ECHL and the AHL and the OHL all kind of borrowing off each other to bring the players through. That would work so brilliantly over here. But it's
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I mean, you see a couple of them. Obviously, like Swindon has their 2 teams now, like in the National League and our league. So you see some clubs kind of doing it by themselves. It would be pretty cool to see that kind of get adopted across the nation and kind of get that farm system set up that we have in the US. It is pretty cool.
I think Sheffield is the only pro side that has that. They have their team in the National League and then a team down in National 1 up north. So they do that. So your college hockey, was that played in Utah?
Yeah. So I did my last year of junior hockey in Utah. And then kind of when I was looking at my options, I loved it. And it was a great place to live. And I'd met a lot of people there and things like that. And I had the opportunity to kind of play a big role pretty early on at University of Utah. So I decided to kind of stay there for my college hockey as well. Yeah.
Was there any kind of rumors when you first got there about the pro team starting in Utah?
Not a ton. When the Seattle expansion happened, there was little bits of talks of Salt Lake was kind of in the hunt a little bit, but we were always kind of on the outside looking in. We got kind of word about rumblings of it a little bit sooner than most this time around. So we started hearing about it kind of probably back in, I don't know, like January, February of this year, just kind of like, no, this might be happening, but like kind of brushed it off because people always like talking about that stuff. And then it started to gain more traction. People started to get behind it. We're like, oh, this probably is going to happen. This will be pretty cool. So I got the tail end of it. I actually got to skate at the Delta Center once they had the ice set in. So I got to experience that, which was pretty cool. But all the camps and the preseasons and stuff like that were happening after I already had shipped off over here. So, but it's going to be awesome for Utah hockey. It's going to do, a giant influx in interest in players and resources to a community I think could be a really good hockey hotbed with the right help.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, really, having some hockey in that part of the States.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have the East Coast League team, the Grizzlies. So they kind of gained some traction and some, kind of proof of concept a little bit. They got a good following and things like that. So I think that helped. But I mean, the casual hockey fan and the non-hockey fans, they don't know what the ECHL is. They don't understand how good hockey that is. So they don't really care. But once the NHL badge gets put next to it, they start caring.
Yeah. Well, the University of Utah, would that be the ACHA level?
Yeah, it's ACHA Division I. So in the U.S., obviously, you have like the NCAA Division I, which is prime. That's where everyone wants to play best hockey in the U.S. there. And then you have NCAA D3 and then ACHA D1, which are kind of mixed. I mean, the top of the D3 is definitely better. But as you kind of get towards the bottom of the pack, ACHA has really been growing some momentum. I mean, we have teams playing D1 teams and beating D1 teams like Liberty and the ACHA beat Long Island NCAA D1 a few or 3 years ago. You're seeing, I think there's like 5 or 6 games this year between NCAA and ACHA D1. So it's kind of a mix of depending on the program, depending on the conference. Some ACHA teams are better than some D3 teams. Some D3 teams are way better. I'd say top to bottom, the D3 is better. The bottom end of the ACHA is pretty rough. Like I was just watching the boys played San Diego State this last weekend, won 15-0 on Friday night, I think. So there's some mismatches for sure. But it's kind of the biggest difference is ACHA is kind of the bigger schools. So the more noticeable schools like Utah's, UNLV's, the Oklahomas of the world, like the big state colleges and kind of big other athletic conferences colleges, where the D3 are more really small liberal arts private schools kind of in the Midwest and East Coast.
Yeah. How do you find, I mean, obviously you've only had a handful of games here so far, but how do you find the comparison between the two?
I'd say it's pretty similar. I think the quality of players is very similar. The high end guys are very high end and obviously the lower end is a little lower end, but that's going to happen in any league. The play style is a lot different. That's taking me quite a bit to get used to. I don't even really know how to explain it. It just feels different. And I think it was mostly probably the rinks I've been playing at. I've just been kind of at smaller rinks and, getting used to that style of it. And just like obviously the reffing and the different little rule changes and things like that. It's a little bit to get used to. But I mean, coming from Utah, we played on an Olympic sheet. So we played on a massive rink I've been playing on that for 6 years now. So, going from that to like an Oxford, even our rink's not the biggest, at Riverside. So, the size of the rink's definitely been a big adjustment. That obviously has a huge impact on the style of play and how the games unfold.
Yeah. So how did it come about, Cliff, or perhaps even Mr. Bartlett himself getting in touch with you to come over to Chelmsford?
Yeah, so I'd kind of always had in the back of my mind wanting to play over here. I was gonna kind of see how my college rolled out, how the body was feeling, how my passion for hockey, make sure it was still there and things like that. So kind of as my fifth year started winding down last year, I actually got an agent to kind of help me out because I had no idea who to really reach out to or where to start. So my agent Ryan, he's a really good guy. Reached out to some teams over here in some other countries and things to kind of see what the options look like. And kind of when Chelmsford was kind of recognized as a spot, I played with Mikey Power actually in juniors back in Utah.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with him. So I kind of reached out to him and just be like, hey, like, I'm looking at, somewhere between the National League and the NI1, like where are the good places to play? Where should I stay away from? Like a Solon, I don't want Solon to be my home rink, things like that. So I was like kind of getting a feel for someone who was familiar over here. And, he had played for Cliff in the past and had great things to say about him. So, that's kind of how Chelmsford came into the discussion. They were in the discussion originally anyways, but that's kind of what pushed them towards the top of the list because Mikey had great things to say. And then after I signed, he ended up signing here, which was awesome, to play with him again. So kind of a mixture of, agent and knowing Mikey and him having history with Cliff and knowing the program was kind of on the upper echelon of the league.
Yeah. When Chelmsford announced that you'd signed, someone completely anonymously, I don't even know how you can do that on the internet now, send something anonymously, sent me like a highlight reel of yours. A few goals, a few hits, a few plays. And I watched it and I was like, damn, this guy's going to fit in really, really well. And
I wonder if I had to make a little clip to send out to teams of my college career. So maybe someone got a hold of that somehow. But it was difficult to put together, but it was fun to go back and look over the last couple of years and watch the games again. Yeah,
great that you've got it available though, that game tape.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm not used to over here. All of our games were live streamed on YouTube and then ready immediately after the game. So I remember our first game, I was talking to Steph. I was like, hey, how do I find the game? He goes, you won't. He's like, we might get clips of it here and there, but we're very lucky. Especially at the University of Utah, like our general manager, our front office did a really good job of like making that a priority and having really high end broadcast, which made it really easy and really fun. So.
Yeah, a couple of teams do. Romford have started doing it this year. So when Chelmsford go to Romford on November the 9th, I'm going to be joining the commentary team there to commentate on that. So that's available to view all over the world. Milton Keynes Thunder as well. They also stream their games. So there's a few that you can get out to the people at home and they can actually watch you live, which time-wise doesn't work out great, I don't think, with the time difference. But
it's a bit easier going back that way. So I'm 8 hours ahead. So game times are usually about kind of right when they're waking up. So it's kind of tough middle of the day, but I mean, watching stuff in the U.S. is impossible. It's impossible. I'm not going to stay up that late.
No, as much as I love watching the NHL, I can't do it. I can't stay up late. I'll catch it on YouTube. But who's your NHL team?
Unfortunately, the Sharks. Going to be some tough sledding for a while here, but yeah, that's closest to me and grew up being a Sharks fan.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean that's better than me. I'm Leafs, so it's.
At least I know we're going to be bad.
Yeah, we've got that sort of duality problem where it's like every year with it, it's going to be this year. It's going to be this year.
This is the year.
It's not. I'm a realist. I know it's not. But that's all just kicking off, isn't it? This past weekend, that's all starting. The Global Series took place in Prague recently, which is a fantastic event. I can't wait for them to get that back in London. Yeah,
that should be really cool. It's been fun to start of the NHL season is always fun. You see all these highlight clips and all that stuff, and especially with the AHL starting up too. I see a bunch of my buddies getting training camp looks and preseason games and stuff like that. So it's fun to kind of keep track of that.
Yeah. Well, so from this highlight reel that I was sent of you, and I was watching your body hits, and you finish your hits really well. Everything's really clean and really neat. Is that something you've had to struggle with? Is getting that level of physicality that you can actually put in on the sort of the smaller pads, maybe with smaller guys, without taking silly penalties?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out a little bit. I had that MK game, my first home game. I think I had 2 penalties for basically just hitting. I think they gave me one in interference, one in clipping. Which, I mean, those games are tough because I think we were up like 7-0 at the time, and I go and blow a guy up, like they're going to be looking for a call, things like that. So, I'm starting to get the hang of it a little bit. And obviously just being able to play that offensive role for us too. It's not something as much. I mean, it'll never leave my game. Yeah, I love playing that way, and I mean, I love a big hit and bringing that physicality and getting the guys fired up and things like that. It'll always be a part of my game. But you know, the opportunity to play an offensive role with the Chieftains has been really fun to kind of pull me away from that side a little bit, where it's like, okay, I can play with the puck a bit more and get some touches and create some offense here, and don't have to be throwing those huge hits all the time or risking being in the box or suspended or things like that. So it's definitely been a little tough to find that line, and I'm still working on finding it a little bit. But talking with, you know, the guys in Cliff and things, they just said basically, you know, those games that are going to be out of hand where it's us versus a lower league team, they're going to be looking for stuff. So when we start playing the Streathams, the Slows, the higher end teams, they're going to let a lot more go. And honestly, even this weekend, the refs in the Swindon game were letting stuff go, and letting us play. So it is definitely a little different. And I think I got to calculate a little bit more who we're playing and what the score is at and kind of pick my moments a little bit better. But
yeah, I mean, as we said, I think, actually, I forget now whether it was on air or off air, we were talking about how the fixture calendar has kind of worked, that we haven't really run into anyone from the top end just yet. But neither has anyone else at the top end. Everyone's kind of they've all been avoided at the start of the season. So when those games do start to come and Chelmsford are playing the Sloughs and the Streathams and Invicta, Solent, and it's incredibly competitive between those sort of top 5 in the league, and that's going to be incredibly good to watch.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, obviously I've had fun with these games no matter what. It's good to get, dip my toe in the water and get familiar with everything a little bit, get a feel for how the guys play and how Cliff wants us to play and things like that. Starting to button up they're good games to button up our identity as a team and figure out our roles as players and things like that. But I'm definitely looking forward to playing some of those top teams and getting some real battles going. Yeah,
it's certainly on the way. We had a few questions come in from a variety of different places, so please excuse me, I'll be looking down my phone. On the Facebook group for the Chelmsford fans, the first question that came in there was from Phil, who's Eden's dad. He asked, have you ever got lost in Chelmsford Town Centre?
I haven't yet. I haven't been there too much. The driving was a little bit to get used to at first. Like the whole left side of the road and things like that, was funky. So our first couple of weeks I was doing the bus routes and walking and just kind of exploring. So it probably looked like I was lost, and probably in a way I was, but I didn't really have anywhere to go. I was kind of just walking around, see what was going on. I think I got the city pretty well figured out now.
Yeah, to be fair, if you follow the river, you'll be all right.
There we go. That's all I need. All roads lead back to Riverside.
Yeah, that'll get you back to the rink. Crystal Barry has asked, who is your actual idol?
Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, my brother's 7 years older than me, so growing up, he was kind of my idol. Always wanted to kind of do whatever he was doing, be a part of all of his friend groups, things like that. So I always looked up to him a lot growing up. And then I was lucky enough he actually moved out to Utah, a couple of years ago, and we've been living together for the last couple of years. So that's been really fun. But, I think growing up, yeah, he was probably my idol growing up.
Yeah, that's cool. Terry's asked, what do you think of, UK ice hockey so far, which we have touched on a little bit, but like you say, you're just looking forward to playing those top end teams and testing yourself, I think, at this level.
Yeah, exactly. And just getting more feel for it. I mean, I'm I think 3 or 4 games in. So it's definitely getting those adjustments figured out. But overall, I mean, I think it's been great. And like I said, and kind of, uniquely to Chelmsford, the fans make it fun. I mean, our home games are a blast. So that's been really cool addition to UK hockey for me.
Yeah. Jan Krasowski has asked, how do you communicate with Jay?
Oh, it took a little bit. The Scottish accent got me a little bit. But luckily enough, when I went to Italy with Team Great Britain, we had all Manchester, Sheffield, and Scottish guys. So I got accustomed to the thicker accents pretty quickly in that week. So coming back, I felt a little easier to understand him a bit. He just has to talk slow. At first, when I was getting over there, like the guys would just be like, boom, 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 boom. I was like, all right, I can't do three conversations at one time with the accents, but just they talked a little slower to me until I got started used to it.
And Terry Peacock has asked, because I think everybody struggles with this. Apart from the numbers, how do you tell the difference between the Bartletts?
I do struggle, and like mid plays or mid practice, like I can't tell you which one it is. Like the amount of times I've gone to Cam about a play, and like that was Grant, or like going to Grant about a play, that was Cam. Like I can't tell you guys apart when we're playing. Off the rink, Grant has a bit more facial hair right now, so as long as they keep the facial hair separate, I'll be all right. If they go to the same facial hair, I'm getting lost again.
I think they're fairly used to it now after all this time. I think they're fairly used to the fact that no one can tell them apart. But we'll get these ones off Instagram. We had a few come through on Instagram as well. A couple of funny ones we had actually here. If a zombie apocalypse happened in the dressing room, who would be the last human remaining and why?
Ooh, that'd be a tough one. I feel like Lockie would. I feel like he's just a tough guy and just will work through anything. You know, he's obviously the way he plays is a workhorse. I couldn't imagine playing against him. Wouldn't be very fun. So. I'd probably go with Lackley as the last man standing.
And that was from Music Buff 952, who's also asked, if your hockey sticks could talk, what do you think they'd say?
Stop breaking. I went through like 17 last year. So that's probably the one thing they'd say. Try to keep them in one piece.
Wow. There's another one here from Music Buff. What's the funniest thing you've heard on the ice so far this season?
The ice. I can't think of anything directly or particularly, but Mikey's always firing off some funny stuff on the bench. Mikey Power's always got these little, quick-witted comments that always get me laughing. So I'd say anything that comes out of Mikey's mouth is probably up there.
There's one here, as I say, it's just Instagram handle, so I can't see the names, but Hockey HF57, why did you have to leave Utah?
I think that's Hendrick. I think that's a kid back in Utah. I used to do some private coaching and stuff with. But it was definitely tough leaving Utah. I mean, it was the longest place I'd been in a long time. I mean, I was there for 6 years. Before that, I was doing, a year here, year there, year there, all over the place. So definitely found a place in my heart, laid some roots down. Definitely wasn't an easy one to leave for sure.
Well, like you say, I'm sure the Chieftain fans will make you feel incredibly at home in
yeah, absolutely.
Keely's asked, if you had to room with another Chieftain for an away game, who are you picking and why?
Mikey's I don't know, his head's gonna get too big. He's not gonna be able to fit in the locker room. He's gonna get too ego-inflated. But I'd have to go with Mikey. Just the fact that I know him the best and he's hilarious. So he'd be a fun guy to room with.
And one from Isaac B72. What's been your favourite Chieftains game so far?
I think my first home game has been my funnest so far. Just getting that experience for the first time and just like you said, like the fans making me feel like at home and knowing my name already and things like that. And obviously I got to score my first goal in that game as well. So I'd say that the home opener was probably my favorite game so far.
Yeah, I've also had a few, not from social media, but people that just message me, because this podcast was originally just about the Chieftains before it branched out into the league. So when I have a Chieftains player on, we do get an awful lot of feedback. With Ben, whose son was actually the giving out the Man of the Match award last night, Saturday night rather, at the Chieftains against Swindon game. He's asked, which current Chieftain would fit best into the US collegiate system?
Ooh. As far as like play wise or just all around, you think?
Yeah, I think it's like all round play.
All around. That's a tough one. I think Wellesley would fit really well. I think he's just a really smooth, smart player. smart guy off the ice too, so that helps. You got to have that academic drive there too. But I think Wellesley would fit in really well back over in the U.S.
Mm. And a second to that is, have you got a favourite part of a fry-up yet? Have you had
I'm not sure. I haven't had a fry-up yet. I'm not sure what that is.
A proper English breakfast, all sausages, bacon, and eggs.
Oh, and the beans. The beans are so weird to me. That's a new one to me. No one has beans for breakfast in the U.S. But honestly, your guys' bacon is much better than the U.S. bacon. So I'd probably say that's my favorite so far. The back bacon is much better.
See, really, I'm the other way. I prefer the bacon over there.
Oh, there we go. Maybe it's just because it's new, but I'm liking the bacon over here.
Excellent. And there was another question as well from Rebecca Wilson, who needs the answer to this because when she does baking at home, her son asks her to bring extra in. So there will be something baked waiting for you, depending on your answer to this, when you leave the ice at the next home game. So what's she got here? Do you have any favourite bakes, biscuits or cakes?
I think my favorite's probably like white chocolate macadamia nut cookies. Well, biscuits over here, but cookies in the U.S. The white chocolate macadamia nuts are kind of my go-to, or just the classic chocolate chip.
Well, there we go, Rebecca. Get in the kitchen, get them cooked, and Dylan will have them. Dylan will have them when he gets off the ice at the next home game.
We do appreciate that. I mean, the boys do love that. I did get a little bit of slack from the boys the first home weekend. Apparently, you guys don't call the Christmas biscuits snickerdoodles over here, so everyone. No. They're like the cinnamon cookies. I was like, this is a pretty good snickerdoodle. And everyone looked at me like I had 10 heads. I had no idea what I was talking about. So to this day, they're still giving me a little bit of crap for that. But we do appreciate the baked goods after. It's always nice to have something sweet right after the win.
Yeah, and you lost your shirt this Saturday as well. It was part of the shirt raffle.
I did. I lost my shirt. I was skating around without it. I was like, this feels weird. But it was pretty cool to kind of meet a fan and be able to kind of do that jersey off the back on the ice, which was a cool experience.
Yeah, I think, well, every now and again, the club do a sort of a signing table after a home game where some guys will come out of the locker room just to sort of meet the fans, sign the programs, or probably now the trading cards as well. So I'm sure if they get around to doing that, I'm sure you'll be inundated with requests.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love doing that stuff. I mean, even in juniors and college and things, I mean, the fans are what make this work and what make these experiences fun. So, I always love kind of interacting with them and you know, doing whatever I can to kind of make sure they feel appreciated. And because the boys do appreciate it. And like I said, they make the experience. So, I love doing anything like that I can.
Yeah. And then again, just a massive thank you from me for reaching out to come on. As soon as you were announced, I shared that you were announced. And you messaged straight away and said, yeah, let's get something organised. Because that's brilliant for me that you guys show that initiative that you want to come on. Because I think it's something a lot of the lads are getting quite used to now. It's been going a couple of years, the podcast, and it's just about exposure for you guys. And if you guys enjoy it, then even better.
Yeah, and I mean, I was the captain the last 2 years at Utah, so I always had to do kind of a lot of the media stuff and had the chance to hop on some podcasts, both. Kind of, there's a local one that kind of covers hockey in Utah called the Puck Report, I think it is. And then there's a Hockey House pod that kind of covers the ACHA. He came to training camp with us, and I hopped on the episode with him too. So it's always fun to just kind of get on and like we were talking about earlier, just get some familiarity with you and familiarity with the league, and just you know, it's always fun to just kind of talk about things and have a little check-in on how things are going.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I really, really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I'll be seeing you this Saturday at home to Oxford City Stars up at the Riverside.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Dylan Dix, thank you so much, mate.
Thanks.
A massive thank you to Dylan Dix for joining me on the podcast. As I said to Dylan just at the end there, it's so refreshing when the players sort of reach out and say, I want to come on, when can I come on? It just goes to show actually that what we're doing is a really good thing. The players do enjoy it, and hopefully as the fans do as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback from that episode. I thought it was absolutely terrific. Got pretty much all of your questions in there. I don't think I missed anybody out. So it can be quite difficult to keep track of it when it's on a few different places. So a massive thank you to listening. Don't forget to check out all of our partners. And, of course, if you're a Chelmsford fan and you've not been yet this season, get along and see Dylan in action with the rest of the boys because he really is a good watch. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.